just when it was finally looking like the waters were gonna settle for a little while in the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. Although Drake remains in limbo as he tries to figure out his next move, and Kendrick is still in the shadows as he lets all the music he put out speak for himself. None other than Kanye West has rumbled the tensions in this beef by making not just one of the strangest moves of the entire feud, but one of the strangest we have seen in his rap career in a little while, which, as we all know for Ye standards, is saying a lot. Now, what I am referring to is of course how Kanye West just joined Drake's team in this beef, and when we look at this move, this is genuinely one of the oddest things Kanye has done in what has already been a super eventful year for him, both for better and for worse. And the reason why Ye backed up Drake, even despite all the beef they've had in years past, is strange, is that when you look at how Kanye has responded to the rising tension between the biggest rappers in the world and how he has reacted at every single moment, he has just been all over the place with his decision making as he has changed teams again and again throughout this beef. Now, to look back at how maddening everything Kanye's done recently has been, just a few days after this entire thing was ignited by Kendrick Lamar's verse on Like That, Ye came out with an Instagram post where he dissed both Kendrick and Drake as he talked about how he watched Kendrick on their 2016 collab off the life of Pablo No More parties in LA, and how he showed up Drake when they performed together during their joint concert in 2021, and along with these direct jabs, Ye also stated that he is above all the artists fighting and no matter what they do, he is the greatest of them all. But only about a month after this, Kanye came out and premiered a remix of Future and Metro Boomin's Like That, and while by linking up with Future and Metro, Ye was already taking a clear stance against Drake as they were the ones who of course ignited and instigated this whole thing. As on the song itself, Ye kicked it off by saying that he has Kendrick's back and that he is going to take out Drake. Already from this song, Kanye switched his affiliations by no longer fighting with both Drake and Kendrick and instead just straight out joined Kendrick's side, and while I am sure Kendrick never knew that Ye was jumping in on his team until the song actually released, to the public eye, Kanye had Future, Metro, and Kendrick's backs, and as he made an effort to not just diss J. Cole both through memes and some bars on the Like That remix, the main focus of his lyrical attacks on this track were at Drake, where he tried to live up to his mission of ending Drake's career with lines about his awful record deal, and the fact that Ye can't even remember a Drake line. And while this didn't end Drake's career whatsoever, what added fuel to all of this was that Kanye would do an interview just a few days after this with his biggest cheerleader, Justin LaBoy, and as Justin sat there enamored at any basic thought that Kanye threw out, of course, with any Kanye rant throughout all the things he touches on, he will almost always get to the point where he talks about Drake, and specifically, he focused on the Like That remix and made it clear how much he despised Drake by saying that he was energized to flip the beat of the song and hop in the booth to rap by, and I quote, the elimination of Drake. And as everyone has pretty much agreed that by saying this, Kanye just made himself seem so overly bitter to everything related to Drake that the entire track and moment Ye was trying to create felt unnecessary. But following just a few weeks after Kanye completely showed how much he despises Drake, and that if a group of people start jumping in and dissing him, this doesn't just excite him to potentially see his rival fall, but he actually gets inspired to make music from it. And now, in spite of all this, in a new interview that has came out between Kanye and Hypebeast magazine, as Kanye was talking about his relationship with his fellow Vultures collaborator Ty Dolla $ign, he said, "Me and Ty have been doing music for so long. It makes me think of 21 Savage and Drake, who are just a great combination, and with this surfacing now, despite the fact that this interview was done a little before Kanye went on his most recent public attack against Drake, the reality of this situation is that Ye was seen talking about how horrible Drake is for the entire music industry on viral clips that surged around the entire internet, and even went as far to make a diss track that literally is built on him saying that he is going to end Drake's career. And now, right around the same time, he has an interview released that is calling the same guy great? This is just a horrible look for Kanye, as once again, he just can't pick a side in this feud and have a definitive stance on some of the biggest artists alongside him, as whether it's Drake or even Kendrick, who he didn't just diss to start this beef, but also in an alternate version of Kendrick's own song in the Like That remix. Ye threw a few jabs Kendrick's way, but fortunately he did have the common sense to not put this on the final cut. Kanye just keeps jumping around and changing his stances about which artists he supports and which he despises, and in a feud where all parties involved have been trying to move in a manner that shows them to be calculated and collected no matter how good or bad their execution has been of this. Regardless of whose diss tracks and antics you want to criticize, almost everybody's stances against one another have been firm, and even with somebody like J. Cole, Despite him dissing Kendrick and apologizing for it and then appearing on Future and Metro Boomin's second album, We Still Don't Trust You, a week later. From the reasoning of his apology to the fact that Metro used an old verse on this album as a chess move against Drake as opposed to J. Cole actually switching up sides. Everybody else who has been involved in this genre-defining moment has in some way stood for something and shown who they really are in battle, but for Kanye, as this feud and its aftermath have went on, his reputation has only gotten worse and worse as he has switched teams from playing solos to being with Kendrick to now praising Drake. And while this is making Kanye look worse to just about everybody, when we actually try to understand why Ye is jumping around all over the place, although it's impossible to decode his strange love-hate relationship with Drake and see why he can go from saying that he is worthless to calling him great in just a matter of weeks. From this beef and beyond, recently Kanye has been making more choices than ever that only seem to serve his goals in the most present moment and just disregard everything else he has ever thought of and done. Now, whether this was with Vultures 2, which he delayed after promising to not just drop a sequel to his independent debut, but also a third installment as well, or the weird venture he announced into some pretty mature content that I can't even explain any further in this video. Despite the fact that historically, he took a very clear stance against this type of industry and even dedicating his music to being religious at a point to get away from this very thing. With everything he's doing right now, Kanye just seems to be changing his mind with everything going on in his career, so when it comes to this strange time where to the public, he has just backtracked on his stance of ending Drake's career as he has now called him great. I think the clear takeaway from the entire role that Kanye has played in this beef, which hasn't really affected either Drake or Kendrick, and has only damaged Ye's public reputation by making him look more confused and attention-hungry than ever, is that despite the musical genius that he still does show through some of the production and curation he has done in recent years, Kanye is moving in a way where he does not have a clear-cut direction, and I think while there are many factors that contribute to this, I think we can understand a lot from the way he has interacted with this entire beef. And specifically, one of the main reasons for Ye's problems is that he gets so focused in what other rappers, and especially ones who seem to be more favored in the industry, and ones who perform better commercially than him right now. And I think all the drama in rap recently may be the reason why he decided to shelve Vultures 2 as a whole, as he may have realized that it will not be able to move audiences like Drake and Kendrick can, and overall, while we don't know what Kanye is ever going to do next, and he can throw away all the goodwill in a period of time with one ridiculous mistake. As it's now been rumored that he's going back to making more spiritual music like we saw in the Donda era, and Ye recently teased a collaboration with Travis Scott as part of the launch of a new shoe from Travis. Maybe there is a world where Kanye can just get his act together and carry himself like the musical force he can be when he's locked in the right mindset and with the right people, but as it stands, Kanye has just made this beef way more strange, and while I am sure Drake or Kendrick will do absolutely nothing about this, what is clear about the way Kanye has handled this beef and how it's all led up to this full circle moment where he is now praising Drake after making him out to be his archenemy, is that Kanye's reputation as a figure in hip-hop has plummeted, and going forward, the only way he will be able to win back people is by releasing music that is truly on the level that we know he is capable of creating. So with another crazy event in hip-hop, let me know, what do you think of Kanye hopping on every single team during this beef? I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and if you want to see why Drake is losing his mind because of the aftermath of his beef with Kendrick Lamar, check out the suggested video.